Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching the Today I Found Out YouTube channel, and in the video today we're answering a viewer question. Jack T asks, what happens when a town votes to make a cat or something mayor? Surely the cat needs an assistant, right? Do they have an official salary, duties, etc.? Do they pay taxes? How do the townspeople actually take care of things that the mayor should be doing? We've talked about animals who've gone above and beyond what you'd normally expect animals to be capable of, like the cat that worked for the British government and a baboon who worked as a surprisingly good signalman for a railway company. In each case, special accommodations were made for the animals to better help them do their duties. But what accommodations are made when an animal has, shall we say, higher aspirations and enters the world of politics? As it turns out, not all that many. This is largely because in every example of an animal being elected to office that we could find, the position of the animal was ceremonial. And in perhaps the most famous case, saying the animal is even the honorary mayor is something of a stretch. Case in point, you may have heard of a cat called Stubbs who was elected mayor of a small town in Alaska in 1997. There are several variations of Stubbs' story, though the most commonly touted version is that Stubbs became mayor after residents, dissatisfied with the human candidates running for office, elected him as a writing candidate. In actuality though, Stubbs holds no official position. The whole him being mayor thing is, as one Alaskan resident bluntly put it, a PR scam. Stubbs was never elected on any write-in ballot because there was never an election in the first place. Stubbs isn't the elected mayor or even the elected honorary mayor. He's a marketing stunt perpetrated by the townsfolk of that Alaskan village thanks to a small but thriving cottage industry that has sprung up around their most famous feline residents. Along with some stores selling souvenirs with Stubbs' face on them, the town has also seen an uptick in tourism to the tune of 30 or 40 people a day hoping to meet the mayor. In other words, it's in the best interests of the town called Talkeetna to play up the notoriety of being a town with an elected feline mayor. A similar story is that of Bosco Ramos, a black lab Rottweiler mix who was genuinely elected mayor of an unincorporated census-designated place in California called Sunol in 1981. He served in the role for 13 years until his death. How he got the job in the first place was simply that his owner thought the whole thing would be funny, so he entered him into the race under the platform "Dogs are people too," and with campaign promises including a bone in every dish, a cat in every tree, and a fire hydrant on every corner. Unlike Stubbs, Bosco was elected and even ran against two human beings, both of whom he beat in a landslide. However, his position was described as being purely ceremonial in nature. The same could be said of Duke, a dog who became the honorary mayor of a small town in Minnesota, winning by 9 votes. It should be noted now that the town only had 12 residents, which means he kind of won by a landslide. Funny enough, the individual who ran against Duke, one Richard Sherbrooke, even claims he voted for the dog rather than himself. Again, Duke's position was ceremonial, but the residents of the town were happy to have him as mayor, with Sherbrooke describing the idea of having a dog as mayor as pretty cool. Cool or not, since the animals only hold ceremonial positions, there are no official mayoral duties expected of them, nor are there any salaries, assistants, or similar trappings, though the animals are seemingly taken much better care of than most of their respective species. However, just because nobody expects a canine mayor to do anything, it doesn't mean their terms in office aren't gleefully noted by the local populace as if the animal did function as an actual official mayor. Going back to Bosco for a moment, while he was in office, the doggy mayor would regularly meet with the citizens of Sunol, taking daily strolls about the town to meet with his constituents. While serving as mayor, Bosco became something of a celebrity, appearing on TV, earning $2,000 to his owner in one such appearance, and at one point caused an international incident when Chinese newspapers widely reported on his election as an example of the shortcomings of democracy and why it should be avoided. Bosco took all of this in his stride, and when the Tiananmen Square incident happened in 1989, he was invited to join protests organized by students at Berkeley and Stanford and stand in front of the Chinese embassy as an honored guest. His owner accepted the offer. Bosco also led the Halloween parade every year and attended formal events wearing a doggy tuxedo. When he wasn't being formal, Bosco was recognizable due to his habit of wearing a red bandana. It wasn't all smooth sailing for Bosco though, and his tenure wasn't without controversy. One of the most infamous being his liaisons with numerous female dogs while on the clock, resulting in numerous illegitimate pups being sired. In addition, Bosco also went missing for a week in 1987, turning up a week later with a stick in his mouth. He never revealed where he went, so it's assumed he was enjoying a raunchy rendezvous with a female dog. Bosco also frequently got caught being bribed with ice cream and would act aggressively when people withheld his favorite treat, beef jerky. After his death in 1994, the people of Sunol paid tribute to Bosco by erecting a bronze bust of the world's first canine mayor. Despite his well-known love of formal clothing, the artist responsible for Bosco's statue chose to depict him in his everyday attire. So, to sum up, when you hear a story about an animal becoming mayor, chances are the position is purely ceremonial and the animal has no official duties to speak of, so they don't need all that much help carrying them out. And yes, in some cases the animal wasn't even elected in the first place, it's just a publicity stunt. And now for a bonus fact. In the Japanese town of Kinakawa, the station master for Kishi Station is a female calico cat called Tama. Tama was a stray that lived near the station and was regularly fed by an employee there. When the station became automated in 2007 to cut costs, Tama was hired and given food instead of a salary so that she wouldn't starve. News of Tama's hiring quickly spread, and the station saw an increase in traffic as people traveled to the station just to see her. Tama is tasked with greeting passengers and even wears a tiny station master hat while working. So I really hope you found that video interesting and entertaining. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below, and don't forget to subscribe for brand new videos just like this every day of the week. I'd like to take this moment to thank our Patreons on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out with a small and totally voluntary financial contribution, you can do so at patreon.com/TodayIFoundOut. Also, loads of perks, so if you do contribute something to us making these daily videos, then we will reciprocate with something cool. I'm not going to tell you what those cool things are, but you can head on over to patreon.com/TodayIFoundOut to find out more. And as always, thank you for watching.